Okay, today we're going to go over the best maintenance practices for maintaining a Blackstick pitching mound. The first step after a game is to come in and sweep out the areas where we're going to apply the Blackstick. Starting with in front of the pitching rubber. The idea of this is to ensure all the top dressing is swept out of the hole prior to adding the water. Any top dressing left in the hole will prevent the Blackstick from binding to itself in the hole. So once it's nice and swept out, the second step is to add water. So in this case, we've got a pump-up sprayer, which will suffice this time of year. But in the summertime months, you typically need a hose or a watering can because you will need more water than what we're doing here. You want to shine up the area and then feel the Blackstick below. If it's too hard yet and you cannot get a key or a nail into it, you're going to have to let the water soak in just a little bit. If you've got good texture or good compression in there to where you can get your thumb in or a nail, then you're ready for the next step. I think we need a little bit more water because it was on the dry side, but it won't take long for this to soak in. If you happen to add too much water and there's standing water in the hole, no big deal for now. Let it soak in, just make sure that water is swept out before the next step. The next step is to scarify the hole. So now that the water has soaked in, we've got just the right amount of water in there. The thumb gives, you can leave a small indentation. It's not too hard, not too soft. You can tell by using a knife or a nail as well. If it goes in fairly easily, then you've got the right amount of moisture. If you've got mud coming up or it's too soft and sticking, you're going to need to scrape that out. The point is, it's got to be firm prior to the next step, which is scarifying. You could use a spade, you could use a nail. This is an old utility knife here, and you just want to make some marks in that hole to ensure the Blackstick is going to bind to itself. After that, we're going to add the Blackstick into the hole. Make it. And we're going to add more than you actually think you need. In other words, if we put the Blackstick and level across the hole, then when you go to tamp, the tamp rides on the edges and you're not going to get proper compression. So you're going to add more than you actually think you need, and in most cases it will settle down to the proper level. If not, we'll scrape off the top. Blackstick comes out of the bag with the perfect amount of moisture. In this case, we're not even using a cover for the tamp. It's not even sticking. Some cases you may have to. So you can see here in this spot, that's proper compression. It's smooth all the way across. You're not seeing any of these undulations in here or any of the voids of the particles. We're going to add some more Blackstick in that spot. And again, it looks like too much, and in this case, it probably will be. I'm going to show you what we're going to do if we add too much in the end. The point is, you've got to get it properly compressed, and if you don't have enough product, the tamp will not compress it because it's riding on the edges. So here, we're going to go through one more tamping before we go to the next step. It's nice to tamp it soft for the first time so it doesn't blow out. Your next one will be much harder, and you're going to tamp it until all the air pockets are out and it's nice and firm all the way through. The next step is going to be checking to ensure it's level with the front of the rubber. By the book, you're supposed to have a 6-inch flat area in front of the rubber before your slope starts at 1 inch per foot down the rest of the front of the mound. So you can see here, it is slightly higher than the rubber. That was by design to show what we can do if it is higher, meaning scrape it down. You don't want to leave it too high. The good thing is we know it's properly compressed because that tamp was not riding on the rubber, nor was it riding on the side, and so therefore we got good compression. A rake like this loop rake, is a great rake to scrape down to level. You can go right with the pitching rubber, and you can walk in different directions around to ensure that you're scraping it down evenly and not leaving any grooves. Anything that's been scraped off is good stuff. This is still good Blackstick. This can be reused in other areas of the mound, maybe a second landing area, but that's stuff you can use and work again. I'm going to scrape it aside for now, and you can see here that now we've got the Blackstick level with the pitching rubber. The slope right here is a good idea to keep an eye on. In a lot of cases, whether it's players or volunteers maintaining the mound, they may not scrape this area. So what happens is if you don't remove this material, this tends to get high. Same with the landing area. Everything applies to the landing area that we're talking about with the rubber. So on occasion, you want to make sure this area here gets scraped a little bit, and if you do it regularly, it's a lot easier. So you maintain the same slope this way, and then starting right here, 1 inch per foot going that way. Now, we're going to clean up any of the extra Blackstick around it before we go on to the next step. Okay, so we've cleaned up the area around with any Blackstick over here. We're going to scoop this off, set it aside. The last step is to add top dressing. Before we do that, we're going to show you a little tip that some people refer to as skating or slicking off the top of the Blackstick, which involves adding just a little bit of water with a slight sheen. And then whether it's with your foot, sometimes people use a broom or even your hand, you just smooth that over there and it binds everything at the top even more to seal it off. Great way to seal off the Blackstick before adding the top dressing. Then we're going to add the top dressing. In this case, at this school, they're using Pro Slide 6x30 red. Whether you're using calcine or shale, it's a good idea to cover up the Blackstick with top dressing to make it more user-friendly, especially in a rain game, but also to help hold that moisture in. Pro Slide does a great job of that. Again, we're doing a small area to demonstrate. All these steps would be the same in the landing area and the second landing area of the pitcher's mound. The last step, once the top dressing is applied, is to add water. Again, typically you're going to be using a hose, which is much more effective than what we're using here. When adding the water, whether it's with a hose or a watering can, always add more around what you packed. Be careful not to add too much where you packed. Keep in mind that the Blackstick comes out of the bag with the perfect moisture. So after it's compressed, do not water it too much. Two common mistakes some people make is one, too much water in the hole, then they pack the Blackstick in too loose The other is too much water after the Blackstick's installed. So if the Blackstick is installed, it's not compressed properly, and then you water too much in that spot, you're going to have issues. Okay, so now you know what to do and what not to do when maintaining a Blackstick pitching mound. Once we've got the top dressing on, we've applied the appropriate amount of water, not too much in the packing area, but a little bit more around it where it's dried out, we're ready to tarp. If you were playing ball right now or getting ready for a practice or a double header, this is ready to go now. Otherwise, we recommend putting a tarp on to maintain that ideal moisture until you're ready to play.